Welcome to the Haunted Hangover podcast. I'm Louie. And in this episode, I'm joined by two special guests, Zack and Sarah from Terrorax Video. Welcome to the show, guys.
Thanks for having us, Louie.
Thanks.
Of course. We're new friends. This is a new friendship blossoming here. And we've been talking to Sarah more. Zack, I don't know why. I guess maybe you don't like me very much. You don't want to talk to me as much. I'm kidding. And I wanted to get you guys on because you love VHS tapes, as do I, as do most horror fans. Okay. I'm assuming you guys enjoy Halloween as well.
Oh, yeah.
Kind of goes with the territory, right?
Yeah. It's hand in hand.
Hand in hand. And I like what you guys are doing. And I'll get into why I like it after you guys explain what Terrorax Video is and what you guys are trying to accomplish with it.
All right. So, I always collected VHS, and we always watch VHS.
Yeah.
And then, so we ended up buying a new house together with this huge basement. And as soon as I walked in this basement, I was like, I'm building a video store down here. And she was like, fuck yeah, let's do that. And it was literally a week after we moved in, I built the room around this, I drove 8 hours to get these shelves. But the whole thing was you'd be the fucking feel of going into a video store and you see all the box art, which is the coolest fucking part of a movie.
Oh, of course.
And when you that feeling when you're just oh, that fucking picture's sweet. I'm gonna give up an hour and a half of my time just because of this picture is being cool.
Just by walking in and seeing the cover sold you on it. I have a question, and it goes to kind of the whole VHS culture, and kind of getting caught up in finding tapes you want and hidden gems and hard to find shit. So, because in the past, and this will go into eventually the kind of main topic we're talking about in this episode of the podcast, but where did you purchase a good chunk of your tapes? Do you go on eBay? Was there a mom and pop video store that closed down and you went into it and not stole, but yeah, sometimes, in my case, occasionally I did steal a couple, but where did you get them? Did you just build them up over time? How did that work exactly for you guys? Because you guys have a pretty decent sized collection.
Yeah, it's like I said, I've been collecting for a very long time. It basically started I always had a VCR, so I don't buy tapes and just never got rid of them. And then my one buddy, Matt Greenfield or MC Homeless, he was my other buddy that was we just go wherever we could to find tapes. And I guess the majority of the collection of younger was just flea markets and wherever you find them. And then I'm basically more recently gotten to eBay just for filling in gaps.
Yeah, if there's something missing and stuff, because eBay could be tricky, man. Sometimes I'll go on there and I'm looking for something. I recently bought a tape, and I'll say what it is. It was a Bone Chillers tape. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that.
Okay.
Yeah, Bone Chillers were all bootleg Goosebumps. That's basically what that was. And I found one of them, and it was $12, $12 with shipping. Not bad. Then I was looking at some of the other ones. It was $60. It's not consistent at all, especially when you're buying. So I always found that interesting. And Dave, one of the members of the Haunted Hangover squad, I'm sure you guys are familiar with his voice as well. He's a big VHS collector as well. I'm sure he's going to kill me that he's not in this episode, but don't worry. We'll all get back together again and do this and discuss VHS tapes again in the future. But he'll go to an event, he'll go to flea markets, he'll go to these VHS kind of, pop-ups and stuff, and he'll drop money on tapes. Is that something you've done? Is there a tape you're embarrassed to talk about how much you spent on it? If you don't want to say the amount, that's cool. But is there a tape?
I've never spent an astronomical amount. I'm a real patient guy. I'll the market will fluctuate. A tape will be real up here and then fucking like a couple of months, it's like, fucking normal tape price.
Yeah.
But this this might get us fucking burned. But the most money I spent on a tape that I wasn't stoked about was Halloween 3 because I don't like it.
Oh, well, damn. Yeah, you're definitely getting burned for that one. We love Haunted. We love Halloween 3, I mean, here. Yeah, dude. Wow, you hate Halloween 3?
I mean, I just don't think it's that good. But I mean,
whoa.
But the thing is, like,
that's a topic for another day. Honestly.
But not only did I I had a copy, but I didn't have the cool cover copy, like with the kids like going across the field. So I had to buy it again, like like the class, and I spent like $50 for like a tape that I'm like never gonna watch. I was like, fuck, this sucks.
You bought the tape so it could collect dust. Nice. I think I have the version I have is not the original one with the sunset. It's a sunset, right? With the 3 kids and it says Halloween 3 on top and the witch.
Yeah, it's like they're like silhouetted.
Yeah. I have one that I think has the 3 kids with all 3 silver shamrock masks, and I think they're like trick or treating.
That's the one we have.
Yeah.
That's one you guys have too?
Yeah. That's the one I bought the other one because I like the other cover.
Oh, because you wanted the original one is better. Yeah. It's a lot more minimalist.
Yeah.
In a sense. You know what I mean? So I agree. So it's a superior cover compared to the I guess the other one's a re-release. I think it's like a Good Times video or something like that.
Yeah, I don't remember.
Now, I do want to point out one thing. You guys do review these movies as well. And what inspired that? What made you guys want to, like, even though you're doing it in sort of short kind of the real format, which I'm gonna give you guys some credit. And what I like about what you guys are doing, I like the minimalist approach. It feels, stuff is so overproduced sometimes, and I'm, maybe I'm guilty of that with this. I highly doubt that. But like, I like that you guys are just, just hanging out, pick a movie, talk about it. Is it good? Does it suck? I dig that. Like, but what inspired you guys to want to review them as well instead of just like sort of showcasing them and just showing the cover, or something like that, taking pictures and posting them?
We're watching the movies anyway, so we're like, why not review them? Yeah. It also like helps us see like what's going on in the movie than like just not passively watching it. Some, we've watched before, but some it's been years since we've watched them. Mm-hmm. And then we have like such the big collection that we're like, okay, let's dive into something that we haven't seen.
Yeah, that's always fun, especially when you're not that familiar with it. Like you just, or what happens with me? Sometimes I'll watch a movie like 10 years ago or something and forgot it existed. I'm gonna be talking about a couple of those in a few, honestly. But I'm just giving you guys credit. I really, and that's kind of why I hit you guys up and I wanted to get you guys on here because I like what you guys are doing. You know what I mean? And I dig the whole, it feels homemade in a good way. I don't mean that, and maybe I'm not articulating it properly right now, but like it just feels like something you guys are enjoying doing. It's genuine.
Yeah.
In a way. You know what I mean? And I dig that. I like that.
Yeah, I don't think we're ever like, man, like, let's fucking start reviewing tapes. We'll get monetized. Like, it was just like, 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 you're like watching a movie and like we watch like a lot of movies and like, I feel like if you're like fucking don't really like talk about the movie after, it kind of like fucking like none of it sticks with you. But like when you like act, like, you take some time to like fucking like, pick at it a little bit. Like you're just like, it's like a better fucking sitting, I guess.
Yeah, I agree. Even when I, on the show, I'll watch a movie. Like we recently covered Rawhead Rex.
Okay.
I love Rawhead Rex. I hadn't seen it in a few years. And reviewing it, I'd seen Rawhead Rex. I've seen Rawhead Rex a bunch of times. I love Rawhead Rex. But actually talking about it for an hour and a half with Manny, which was probably far too long to talk about a movie, especially the caliber of Rawhead Rex, you kind of appreciate certain aspects of it more, Yeah. I can agree with that. Kind of just following up and I guess diving deep, even though you guys do like the short format, it's nice and tight. So stick with it. You guys are doing a fantastic job. But, you know, kind of, it kind of sticks with you more. And I agree with that. Before we dive into the matter at hand here, since Haunted Hangover is a Halloween, at this point, you know, we're all over the place, but we are a Halloween show, and that's what inspired us, you know, to start this. How, you know, I want you each to go, you know, and explain your love for the holiday and how it kind of correlates with horror and, you know, how important it is to you personally. Whoever wants to go first.
Okay, you want me to go first? So I think Halloween, the love for Halloween started for me before horror. I just loved, like I was telling Zach about it. I was like, I loved going trick-or-treating, dressing up. Like we had the neighborhood that was people decorated the houses. They have music playing. Our next door neighbor would give out cans of Pepsi. It was like legit the trick-or-treating neighborhood in the city I grew up in. So that started, I feel like, my love for horror because I was about 8 when I really loved Halloween. And then when I was 10, like Jeepers Creepers came out, all those movies where I'm like, I think I kind of want to watch these. And I got super into it and hooked, basically.
Well, they always do. You know what it is? It's funny because it's either or. It's like you're a horror fan that ends up, you know, as you get older, obviously as a kid, you love Halloween, but I feel like, especially as you become an adult, you go to parties and you do stuff like that. You want to watch like marathons of horror movies. It's like either or. Some people, like in my case, it was both at the same time. But I've met people that are horror fans that don't really like Halloween, and those freak me out. I've never understood that. It's fucking weird. Yeah, dude. And so we've talked about on the show, there's people that are just like horror fans. Like we love, you know, horror movies, but Halloween's dumb. Like, you know, I don't know, whatever. Yeah. What about you, Zach?
I probably definitely started from just liking horror movies. Like my mom would let me rent movies that are like way over like my threshold as a kid. Like I remember like she like let me rent The Toxic Avenger. I was like fucking 6.
Amazing.
And like the cover has a cartoon on it.
Yeah,
like you have the drawing of him, and like my mom's probably like, yeah, this is a superhero, which I mean, she's not wrong, but yeah,
he's a superhero, but at the same time, a kid gets his head crushed in that movie.
That scene fucking ruined me as a kid.
Yes.
And like I think like that's definitely what started. Is like, you know, like I don't know what it was about like watching like stuff like that. You're just like, this is insane, and like I just kept watching it, and then Halloween, like. When Halloween rolls around, it was just like all that was more accessible, like to me as a kid. Yeah. You're like, oh my god, every channel has shit I like.
Yeah, it's funny too because you know going back to the Toxic Avenger, that you were the age of the kid that got killed in that movie, so I could see how that traumatized you. You know what always traumatized me in the Toxic Avenger? The dog being shot in the is it a restaurant or a store? The golden retriever, that always fucked with me, dude. Yeah, that was always the worst. I remember I was like the kid getting his head smashed in. I was like, whatever. But the dog being shot, that was
You're like, no.
Man. Leave the puppies alone. Leave them alone. Leave the doggies alone.
I felt real bad when the dude felt when he fell into like the goop and was like on fire. Like when I was a kid, like people being on fire like just bummed me out. Like it wasn't like, oh no, that looks terrible. I'm like, oh, I wish that wasn't happening for them.
Yeah, for sure. But I'm gonna put you guys on the spot here. Didn't prepare you guys for this at all. Is there one Halloween costume from your childhood that stands out? One. Anything. I put you on the spot here. If you can't think of one, make one up.
I was a ninja for like 5 years in a row.
We all were.
I was not.
Oh. All right, you missed out.
So my costume, it was the Powerpuff Girls were just coming on board to Cartoon Network. Mm-hmm. They weren't really that big yet. Okay. So the hipster that I was at 8 years old, I'm like, Mom, I need you to make me this costume. I want to be Blossom, the Powerpuff Girl. So I just remember her like sewing this like pink like dress rectangle and putting the black line on it. And I had like the little bow. Absolutely no one knew who I was that year for Halloween. But it was like the best costume. So it was like I went with my original liking, did what I wanted, and had the best Halloween.
That's cool. Homemade costumes are always better than the ones you could buy at like costume stores. It's funny. I bet you your Powerpuff Girl costume was better than the one they sold.
So much better.
Eventually,
than like girls wear now with the big eyeballs and stuff. Mine was classic homemade.
Powerpuff Girls rule. Those are awesome. That show's awesome.
No, the 1 year most years when I was a kid, I was a ninja, but I had a broken arm 1 year. And like my mom was like taking me like walking around like trick or treating, and this like lady was dressed up as a witch, like handing out candy, but she was like getting like in my face. My mom was like, "Hey, don't do that! Like, he's not like super friendly." Like I was like a fucking like bad dog or some shit.
He's not super friendly. You got a muzzle over your mouth.
The lady like got in my face. I just like punched her in the face with my cast, and she was
amazing.
Like, yelled at my mom.
That's amazing, dude. That is amazing. That's so amazing, dude. It's so funny going back to the ninja situation. I remember 1 year, I forget what it was. I had 2 costumes for some reason. One of them was a ninja, and I think the other one was when I was the Riddler, the Jim Carrey Riddler.
Oh, nice.
And I remember I just that day I was like, you know what? My school had a parade. I'm like, I'm gonna wear the ninja costume. I think it was. I might be getting them confused or mixed up. But I was like, I'm gonna wear the ninja costume at the parade, and then when I go trick or treating at night, I'm gonna wear the Riddler costumes. I was like double dipping in my costumes because I think I just like, got like a ninja costume for no reason. And like most little boys, I'm sure I like threw it on like in April just to be an asshole at home and like play with my shadow and stuff and think I'm the Karate Kid for whatever reason.
No, I feel like I also wore costumes like all the time at my house. Like it was just what you did.
So I have pictures of myself with my sister, Sam, who's also part of Haunted Hangover. And there's this one picture I have of like the two of us. She's like 1, 2, like in a crib. And I'm next to her. I'm wearing a red and white striped pirate shirt. That's a costume pirate shirt. I've got like these aviator sunglasses on and like this weird hat wrapped around my head. I was a strange child. So I was wearing a Halloween costume and like a bunch of other. Then I have like $1 million man like action figure, like wrestling figure behind. It's weird. It's a weird photo, and she's like a newborn basically, like 8 months, and she looks confused, and I'm like wearing this ridiculous thing. So yeah.
Yeah, I just got bored. Like, oh, what's this all about? Like, who the fuck's that guy?
What's wrong with my brother? He looks like a psychopath right now. I don't know. When you're a kid, you're weird. You know, it's cool to wear Halloween costumes. I've seen kids middle of the year dress up as Ghostface or Michael Myers. It's so interesting. You know, when you think about it. So,
I have a funny like the moment where like horror and like Halloween like came together at like the same time. Yeah. Like it was like right after the Blair Witch movie like came out. Like I think it was like when it was like home release, because I remember I watched it. It hadn't come out like a little bit before Halloween whenever it came out. But I remember like me and my buddy were going trick or treating in the neighborhood. It was like one of our first years. Like it was just like we're just gonna go because we're fucking adults now, but we're like fucking 9.
But like, we're adults now, but we're 9. That's amazing.
Well, like, so like you go back in the neighborhood and like you hit all those houses, and like there's this one road that dead end, and like if you went through the woods, you can get to the other part of that house, like the street. Like it was like Marlane, and then there's woods, and then there's Marlane Extension. So like, and like Marlane was like separated from like the rest of the neighborhood. You had to go down the main street to get to it. So like nobody would ever go there. And we like, I think it was like my older brother was like, yeah, they always had like better candy or some shit because nobody was there. So we're like, dude, like we just have to go through these woods, and like we're like in the promised land of candy. And like I remember like, yeah, sure. Like we didn't just watch Blair Witch or anything. And like so we're like we like step like 1 foot in the woods. We're like, there's definitely a witch in these woods. And just like ran as fast as we could through these fucking woods, like convinced there was a witch behind us.
Oh man, that's so good.
It was like that moment of like, man, like that is like the most like flashback movie scene I've ever had in my life, was like running from the Blair Witch to get good candy.
It's so funny because when you're a kid, your imagination just kind of like fucks with you, and it can control you basically. I just love how, you know, it's funny when you think about that story. just looking back at it, you were a child. It's probably the sketchiest situation. You're like, we're going to the woods. You know what I mean? Or like, that's where the good candy is. Just listening to you tell me that story. I'm
literally, like, Hansel and Gretel starts out like this or some shit.
Bright idea, guys. Bright idea to do that. So on to the main topic. Since you guys collect VHS and you guys run Terrorax Video and you're doing your thing over there, I thought it would be fun to talk about some of our favorite VHS covers. Now, I want to say something at the top before we dive into these picks, because at least for mine, I wouldn't call any of these movies my favorite movies, but I do love the covers. Also, since we're showing things off, the visual medium of this episode is probably much better than the audio version, but we'll do our best to describe what each VHS tape looks like for the audio only listeners. And if you're an audio only listener, stop playing games. Go over to the Haunted Hangover YouTube channel and watch this episode. Subscribe, do all that good stuff. But yes, that's me hawking my own shit. You guys are my guest. So I want you guys to hit us with your first pick. One pick out of the bunch. Who wants to go first?
Matthew McConaughey of A Time to Kill. Renee Zellweger of Jerry Maguire.
Are you having fun yet?
Texas Chainsaw Massacre. The Next Generation. If looks could kill, he wouldn't need a chainsaw.
We're starting off with 1995's The Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Next Generation, written and directed by Kim Henkel. Oh, fucking glare.
There you go.
Who also worked on the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre and Eaten Alive. Like, he also worked on that with Tobe Hooper. And, like, I think after he was a part of every Texas Chainsaw Massacre other than 2 and 3. But this cover, you got a lipstick with a chainsaw protruding out of her. And this lady's just putting on a chainsaw lipstick, I guess. But
there's some sparks there on her lips.
Yeah, sparks were flying that night. But there's like a reflection of Leatherface in the casing. I don't know if you can see that. But another reason, first off, the fucking picture is incredible. I love this.
That's a good cover.
And another thing that got me is, like, I never knew which side was the front because they're both front covers. Yeah. Like, literally, they're both fucking sweet. And also on the back one, she has a fucking Homelight XL12. I'm pretty sure that's the Bruce Campbell fucking chainsaw.
Yeah, you're right. I never even thought of that. That's cool. Yeah, dude, you know what's funny? Dave's gonna kill me that you talked about that movie. That's one of Dave's favorite movies of all time. Sorry, Dave, if you listen to this episode once again, because I know he loves Texas Chainsaw: The Next Generation.
Dude, wildly underrated.
Yeah,
wildly underrated.
It's a strange movie. And that cover, the whole, the flippity dippity.
Yeah, like,
I forgot that was a thing with that. So.
Yeah. And I think this might technically be the back. I honestly don't know. I could not tell you.
There's no synopsis on the box, right? It's just like two covers. That's it.
No, there's nothing.
Strange. You know what I think the deal was with that? And I remember when that came out, I think I was in junior high. Probably because video stores could maybe switch them, like switch. Might have been a marketing tactic to kind of like, all right, here's the sexier cover on the back. You know what I mean? Or something like that, you know?
Leatherface holding a chainsaw.
It's like, maybe like, all right, you know, if this lipstick chainsaw situation doesn't get you, Leatherface on the back. Sexy.
Flip it over.
Sexy Leatherface will sell it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Good. That is a good cover. And the visual of him, it's so funny. You know what always freaked me out too about that cover? Does he look like that in the movie? I know he does wear the dress and does all that stuff, but that's like a very sexy version of Leatherface on the cover there. Yeah. It's like a super sexy version.
The mask on like this side reminds me of the Poughkeepsie tapes a lot.
Oh Another
I'm
great
sure.
movie.
Oh, dude, that might like my top 5 favorite movies is Poughkeepsie Tapes, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Ernest Scared Stupid, and Two Floaters.
All excellent picks. So, but that's a good one, man. You know what I always loved about that tape too? The font. The font on it.
Yes.
I actually
Yes.
don't own that one. I have that on. I think I have the DVD and Blu-ray of that movie. So I'm slacking. I don't own that on VHS. Matthew McConaughey, Renee Zellweger. Right? I can never pronounce her last name. So
Yeah, like I don't know. Like this, like I feel like Next Generation gets like a ridiculous amount of like heat. Like people are just like, I don't know, try to like trash it, but like it's a fucking good movie. If you don't have a good time watching this, like you're an L7 weenie. You just don't like having fun.
Dude,
like,
I like every single Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie, so maybe I'm in the minority. I have no idea. I think they're all fun. Every single one.
the one I had trouble with was like the when he was a little kid one. I was like,
Leatherface? I dug aspects of that too. I dug the whole who's Leatherface, you figuring out which kid is gonna be Leatherface.
Yeah, I mean, I just thought it was a little far-fetched. Like, oh yeah, Leatherface when he was a kid was a fucking stud.
Yeah.
Like, this is a handsome man. I tell you what, believe you me.
Oh my god! Do you guys remember when that came out by any chance? Next Generation.
Yeah. Yes.
Did you watch it as a kid?
Yeah. So I remember. I don't even know if I ever actually like watched it as a kid, but I remember like the commercials for it, like on like HBO or something.
Yeah.
I remember like there was like it was like a like you know like the Halloween, like they'll have like those like commercials promoting that they're gonna have Halloween movies, and it was like a mashup of a bunch of different movies. I remember like seeing like the things of like the Texas Chainsaw in it, and I was like, what is this? Like I need this.
Yeah. You know what always stuck out to me in that movie? That shot of Leatherface chasing a plane. That's towards the end, if I remember correctly.
Oh yeah,
right?
yeah.
And I remember the movie very pay-per-view. I think I said that before. I remember seeing the trailer for it in between channels on cable to rent. And I believe that's how I saw it for the first time. And I was probably 12 or something like that. So it's definitely a good pick. You probably the best, maybe next to part 2, in my opinion, cover-wise for VHS. Because part 2 is a good one.
Yeah, I'm gonna number 1's my favorite movie. For sure.
Classic, yeah.
If we're not taking that into account, it's between. Fuck, that's really hard because
just the covers.
Oh, covers.
Okay,
Oh, yeah.
Just the covers. Just the covers, guys.
Yeah, for sure. That's probably. I think I like this one more than number 2.
Yeah.
Number two is really good.
The Breakfast Club. The Breakfast Club.
Yeah,
pose.
I remember staring at that cover because it's like, is that dude a real person? Like what?
The
what's
corpse.
his name?
I forget.
Yeah. Hitchhiker's Corpse.
Yeah.
I remember just like, is that like a real person? Like as a kid, like thinking like, there's no way that's like an actor in a suit.
Yeah, especially the way the movie opens, where like Leatherface is wearing him with like So great pick, man. Listen, Texas Chainsaw. You can't go wrong with a Texas Chainsaw Massacre pick. So
I got good news and bad news, girls. The good news is your dates are here.
What's the bad news?
They're dead.
All right, I got Night of the Creeps, which it is 1986. If you've never seen it, it's basically like 2 fraternity guys are trying to like get initiated, and they find this frozen body and let it out, and they kind of like let hell loose, and zombies come over while you have a dead like prom dates, even though it's not really prom, it's like college.
It's kind of like some college undisclosed college party that they're having. I forget too.
Somehow the cop also like dealt with the trauma of the zombies. So like the 2 fraternity guys and the cop like all come as one to fight them. Yeah. So it's a really good film. I really like it.
Is that how that Spice Girls song was written?
Yes.
To become one.
When to become one. And the cover is very classic 80s cover. There's the window, the guy looking through the window. There's always like the stones thrown out the window in those movies too, I feel like, back in the day.
Sean Cusack did that once.
So then some roses for the dance.
Of course.
I love the font. It's like that creepy, bloody looking horror font. And then he has like the dead, glossy eyes. And like he's all banged up. So
That's a great cover. I forgot about that cover until you told me that was you were gonna pick that, because in all honesty, every other release of Night of the Creeps has been terrible. The cover, like the Blu-ray cover art, horrible. It's so bad, and I don't know why they couldn't, like, at least the version I have on Blu. I don't have that on VHS either, but the Blu-ray cover is like yellow and blue with the corpse's face, and then Tom Adkins on one side. It's like, it looks like a really bad, like, early 2000s Photoshop. It's like, guys, just use that for, like, weird. So I'm
love
so
that
used to
Tom Atkins on that one, though.
It's like, instead of, I think it's like him holding the shotgun or something, which I love me some Tom Atkins, but it's just it's odd that they went like this. I guess it's a re-release, they want to sell it to new audiences, but like, look at that cover, how beautiful it is.
I know, this is like
that's honestly, like, I'm glad you brought this one up, because it really is, looking at it,
when we talked about like walking into the store, it's one of the first ones that always grabs my eye. I think it's like the color schemes of like the bright reds and like the low. I'm always just like drawn to this one. So I'm like, I have to pick this cover because it's awesome.
And an awesome movie.
Yeah, it is. It's a really good movie.
The title card is so good in that movie.
It is
so good.
Okay,
So good. I haven't watched it in a while. One night I gotta throw it on. Such a good movie.
Man.
Throw me, right? Isn't that what Tom Atkins says?
Yeah,
Throw
yes.
me. Yeah, that's his thing. The little slugs always got me. Ugh.
Ew, I don't even know if they're like leech slugs. That's where it was like too much for me. I was like,
They're
ew.
like-
And there's like a pile of them in the corner. I was like,
and they're like erupting out of people's necks, and it's fucking gross, but
What bothered
so
me
good.
It's going back to like the dog. Like, why did it get the dog? Like, they could have let the animals out of it.
Is he human? Or is he master of the dogs? The terror of your worst nightmare is about to be unleashed. Monster Dog.
You know what? It's only right, because we're talking about, we've mentioned puppies being eviscerated. My first pick is the 1984 film Monster Dog. Now this movie's ridiculous.
What a good title.
Oh, dude, it's fucking amazing. And in the video, it's a little glary, unfortunately, but I will be putting up a better picture of it. A better photo so the viewers can see it. Dude, guys, this movie, you've both seen this, right?
I've never seen
I've never
Monster
seen
Dog.
it. No.
You've never seen Monster Dog.
No,
All right,
it's on the docket.
It's been a while for me, but I'll give you a Cliff Notes version of the plot of this movie and then get into the cover. So Alice Cooper is basically playing himself in this movie. He's like a not really metal, because I wouldn't consider Alice Cooper metal, but like rock, I guess, just like class. At this point, he's classic rock. But I guess in '84 he was just Alice Cooper. Because, would you guys consider him, like, heavy? I wouldn't consider that heavy music in any way.
No.
But he's just Alice Cooper. He's a genre into himself. But yes.
Which really lends him to get typecasted as Alice.
Yes. So in this movie, he's playing a rock star who's shooting music videos of some nonsense about shooting music videos for his band. And what ends up happening is, they are going to a house. I forget if it's to shoot another music video or to like hang out. And they start encountering like weird, wild dogs. And like there's like a home invasion type deal at one point. It's chaos. And then we find out that there's a monster dog. And it's like basically a werewolf. And I don't want to spoil the whole movie because you guys have not seen it. but it's fucking crazy. It's basically Alice Cooper versus a werewolf is what this movie is. Sort of.
I think you're selling a little short to say it's Alice Cooper versus a werewolf, but it's technically Alice Cooper versus a monster dog.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. It's a monster dog. Yes, you're right. It is.
Would be way cooler.
They do call it. Technically, it's like a lycanthrope or whatever is what they call it in the movie. The technical term, which is a werewolf, but it's a rock star werewolf.
Oh man, I feel like a monster dog, like there has to have like fucking like goo like pouring out of it or something.
Yeah, no, it's a pretty funky looking creature when you guys watch. And there's a lot of real dogs in it. Like they run over a German Shepherd in the movie, if I remember correctly. At one point, like they hit I think it's a German Shepherd. They hit a dog in the movie. So lots of doggies. We're mentioning lots of dogs getting killed in this episode for some reason. And me picking monster dog is probably not helping. But this cover, you've got Alice Cooper's gnarly face there in the middle. You've got the monster dog, the star of the show, the monster dog right there. Alice Cooper. I think this is the female lead. I forget her name. Then you've got the house that they're going to right there. And then monster dog in yellow font underneath. Now, I will say the poster. Now, this is fantastic art, but the original poster art, just as good because you've got a giant version of the monster dog head here above a car with the female lead hiding, cowering, while these really kind of this evil shadow of a dog or hound is like over half of her body. Like everything about, like they really sold this movie on the art. I will admit, the movie is ridiculous. I think it's ridiculous in a good way.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like, I wouldn't say it's a great movie. You never hear people talk about Monster Dog. When do you ever be like, you know what you got to watch? Monster Dog. You know?
Yeah,
but
no.
If you like Alice Cooper, I'd recommend it.
Yeah, no, we run into that a lot. The cover's just like, this looks so gnarly. And then you put it on, you're like, well, that was a movie, all right.
Yeah.
But you want to know what I'll say about Monster Dog, and I'm saying Monster Dog a lot. Is that Monster Dog? This cover lives up to what the movie is. I feel like it's an awesome cover, awesome original poster. If you can go online and find it and just see a picture of it. It basically sums up the film when you think about it. They're going to a house. There's a monster dog. There's Alice Cooper. I don't want to say what happens to Alice Cooper since you guys have not seen the film. I was going to, but I don't want to spoil it for the listeners or you guys. And then you've got the wonderful full moon, which kind of spoils the. Are you looking at the? Are you looking at the? Yes, it's a nice with the big monster dog head behind it.
That dog looks so much gnarlier when it's bigger.
Yeah, well, you can't really see it, and again, my reflection isn't great here. The glare, I mean, but Monster Dog, starring Alice Cooper. Who would have thought, you know?
He's dead. I never thought I'd feel as good about killing anyone.
Burn in hell, you bastard.
All right. So, I'm going with 1988's 555.
Oh, man, a classic.
A super classic. As you can see, it says 555. The cover is a dude getting his head cut off.
It's such a ridiculous cover. They were really trying to sell that shot on video movie, man.
Yeah, they were just like, what should we do? Just put the best scene in the movie on the cover. It's basically these people are trying to catch a killer that kills 5 couples over 5 nights every 5 years. Hence 555. Wally Cause did pretty much everything in this movie. He even distributed it under his own label. It was Slaughterhouse Entertainment, which was super limited, which is why this is a crazy hard tape to get, but mine's a bootleg.
Yeah, I think an original goes for hundreds of dollars.
Yeah,
last I saw.
But which also brings a good point, is like just appreciating a good bootleg.
I'll take a bootleg for sure. I would have thought that was an original. In all honesty, I was like, "Oh shit, you have an original 555 there? Wow."
But yeah, no, it was a fun movie. The cover, honestly, is like, I feel like this is like one of those covers like you saw once when you were a kid and never forgot it, and like and you're just like, man, like it was like one of those movies that like built that like, you know, when like you see a cover and you're like all of the things that could be happening in this movie like running through your head. Then you watch, you're like, well, that was none of them. That was none of what I was expecting.
Yeah, those shot on video. So I'm weird. I do like some shot on video. I wouldn't call myself like a shot on video, ultra low budget like connoisseur where like that's all I watch. Because I know there's people that are really into like old 80s, 90s shot on video. Because some of them are just unbearable to get through. Like some of them are really bad. 555. Higher on the list when it comes to that genre of horror film, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, it's like it's clunky. I mean, I enjoy it. I do enjoy it.
So do I. Yeah.
I never try to like say anything like really bad about movies. There's always some I find like I like in a movie, but yeah, 555. It's definitely fun, but I think it's one of those movies where the cover is way better than the movie. Like
you know what always stuck out to me about that cover? The pink.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then like
classic bubblegum.
And then I think like the original cover had like this like yellow piping around it. Yeah. So it's like very contrast and like poppy looking.
That like, must have been a way for it to grab people's attention when they were renting it or selling it, because you don't see many pink V8. You don't even see pink Blu-rays or DVDs, in all honesty, rarely. I'm sure when Barbie gets a physical release, that'll be entirely pink, probably.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, all things considered, it worked because I mean, like this is from 1988, and we're still talking about it, and it's not because it was like a groundbreaking film. Like, man. It was just the cover art was just like enough.
I remember when I first heard about it, and I hadn't seen it yet. I thought it was about like an evil phone number or something, like 555. I was like, oh, is this about like a guy that calls someone and then kills them or something? Like, because the title 55, it sounds like the beginning of like a phone number.
Yeah, like you know. Every phone number in the 90s was like, if it was on TV, 1-800-555.
Yeah,
exactly. That's a great pick. That's a good one. Deep cut too. Not a lot of people, unless you're into VHS collecting and like shot on video. You don't hear many people talk about 555.
Where's your past? Screw your past.
All right, mine's not a deep cut. It is the first Nightmare on Elm Street. This 1984 has the Nancy wide awake, scared to sleep, and then, you know, Freddy's hand shining on down in. And the font, I just love the font. It's what drew me in. It's that classic, scary nightmare font. And we have like all of these. So I feel like whenever I walk by, it's the first one that always grabs my eye as well. And also,
that's a classic cover. That's like probably one of, I think most people, when they think of VHS covers, that's one of the first ones that come to mind. So yeah. such an iconic tape.
And like that's basically why I think I picked it so much, because it is such an iconic tape. Like, it's one that would always stand out to me, and I'd always see it like at the movie store. And just growing up with Freddy, it's just I had to pick it.
Growing up with Freddy, all of us have grown up with Freddy. All the Nightmare. You know what's funny? I feel like all those. I don't know the artist. Those painted kind of. Yeah. Those first. I think it's like up until I believe Freddy's Dead. They all got that style of cover. And they're so good. Like, I'm a big fan of the part 2, where you see, I think, like half of Jesse's face is Freddy, and there's like I think the glove around him. Dream Warriors, of course. That's a classic cover with the Freddy glove and all the Dream Warriors on each blade. Like, all the Nightmare on Elm Street covers are so great. Like, all of them. Up until Freddy's Dead, then they got lazy, I feel. I think
that's what happens. Like, I'm like admiring this one first. I'm like, oh, and I'm like, oh, it's still good. And I'm like, oh God, what happened?
I don't know. It's weird. I don't know. I guess you know what it was? It was like that died out in the 90s, I guess, like having a cover like that, or all like, Dream Warriors and all those style of covers. It's weird.
Yeah, I mean, you paid just watch the evolution of cover art, really in after the mid 90s, when Scream came out, it kind of ditched the fun covers and went for this is gonna put you on the edge of your seat. We're gonna call this one a thriller.
Yeah, I feel like Scream changed the game for everybody.
Yeah, Scream killed Hellraiser.
Listen, I will agree. The Scream posters, the floating head poster. That's the Scream and Dracula 2000 and what else? Final Destination did it. That was so prominent in the late 90s into the early 2000s. I do have a soft spot for it. Because some of them were I Know What You Did Last Summer. That's a pretty sick floating head cover. I know we're going off on a tangent here on other covers.
Oh, yeah, no.
But that one was good.
Yeah, so I remember at the time, when the fucking late 90s, when all those or mid to, I don't know, when those movies were coming out, the more realistic horror movies, those somebody's doing something to somebody, when those were coming out, I was such a big fan of the 80s. There's no, I want this dude that can't get killed just ripping people apart. So I didn't appreciate a lot of those at the time, but we've been running through all of them lately, and Urban Legends, so good. I feel
underrated.
That should be talked about more. That movie's so much fun.
Yeah.
Probably one of the best to come out of that group of Dawson's Creek, Kevin Williamson situation that was going on in the late, I'm in my mid 30s, so I grew up. I was able to see all of those movies in the theaters for the most part. So I'll always, even though not all of them are great, I even like Valentine, and I know there's people that don't like that one.
That's fun. It's still fun.
I'm a fan. I like most of them. I Still Know What You Did Last Summer, and I know people think that shit's stupid.
Yeah,
I'm wearing a Cruel Intentions t-shirt, if that doesn't tell you anything. I know, so I'm a fan of the late 90s, early 2000s.
I also am a
movies.
fan, so I'm a little bit against Zach in that sense.
What? I like them. I'm just saying, the cover art, there was a shift.
Yeah, there was a shift.
I will, going back to the focus of the conversation, I will admit that the covers were far superior in the 80s with the whole kind of airbrushed look and stuff, and the floating heads did kind of kill that. Cruel Intentions had a floating head cover.
He did. I was just going to say that. There's just all three of them just floating heads.
Once again, I think Texas Chainsaw, The Next Generation's the sexy Leatherface on it. Then you got everyone's just really good looking on all these covers when you look at them. So going back to the sexy covers is what sold all these movies.
I think what we're not appreciating is that 555 originated the floating head.
Literally.
I fondly remember the days I hunted down each piece. These animals aren't hunted down in a moment. You have to discover them, stalk them, and finally kill them.
And that's a perfect segue. Thank you for that. Because speaking of heads and floating ones, my next pick is the 1982 film, The Icebox Murders.
That is an incredible cover.
It's such a good cover.
My goodness.
Yes. Now, this movie, I believe, it's originally a Spanish film. I think it's called El Cepo. I don't know what that means. I'm a bad Hispanic person. I don't know what the hell that means. And to my knowledge, guilty. I have not seen this movie. I've read about it, but I have yet to pop it in for some reason. I've owned this tape for years. I think it's just laziness, in all honesty. Because all I've read, in any review, is how boring this movie is. That it's a drag to watch and you'll fall asleep. So imagine this cover. This movie is boring. How? You've got a severed head inside of a fridge with milk. I believe there's eggs. Yes, eggs in here. 3 people looking suspicious, I guess. And then the icebox murders. How do you fuck that up? This is a prime example of them selling the cover and not the movie.
Yeah, they really put it on the artist.
I couldn't even tell you. But what's funny is when you flip it, right? When you flip to the other side, all it is 4 of the characters in little boxes. That tells you, I think, everything you need to know. There's really not.
The mustache sunglasses guy looks suspicious as fuck.
Yeah.
I do intend, before the year is over, to watch this goddamn thing. Because I've been slacking by not torturing myself and sitting through it. So, such a great look at that. It's a fucking head inside of a fridge, inside of an ice box. Because it's the icebox murders. What does it say up here? A blood curdling chiller. Will she become? I can't read this right now. Will she become just another body in the icebox? Ooh, spooky.
That'd be a good double feature with just based on the cover art with Microwave Massacre.
Yes, and 555. I think both of those movies are probably more entertaining from what I've read about this movie. So I've got to see it. Maybe in the future I'll cover it. I don't think this has any other releases as well. I think this is it's probably on YouTube. I'm sure someone ripped it and uploaded it to YouTube, but this is the only, I believe, I might be wrong, hopefully not. I think I'm right. Only release of the Icebox Murders. This might be a sought after tape. I think I got this for 50 cents. I got this at an old video store that was closing down with Manny. Him and I, we were big horror fans, Queens, New York. A lot of the mom and pop video stores in our area, like our entire area, we had a couple of them were all closing, and we were literally ransacking them and grabbing whatever we could. So a lot of my collection is from like 2005, 6 when stores, were closing down, and like we'd go in and there'd just be boxes and mildew and fucking water damage. And I remember opening a box, and this was looking at me, and I was like, "I'm fucking buying that shit. Look at this." And I do have to watch it, but again, when I read reviews, it's literally right now on IMDb, the star rating is a 3.3 out of 10. So it's pretty rough.
It might be a good 3.3. You never know.
A good
3.3.
A good 3.3.
Strong.
She's basically a 3.4 if you think about it.
Yeah, almost halfway there. So, out of 58 reviews, so it's pretty rough. So, I will get to it one day. The cover rules.
Yeah, we're gonna have to watch that. I want to watch that real bad.
I can tell you enjoy this guy, so I'm gonna bring it
That's
into.
who I need to see. What is he up to?
I need to learn his story. What's going? Watch, he's in one scene in the whole movie.
Yeah, he's just like, hey, that's it.
What's up? And then he enters the frame, says what's up, and then exits the frame. Only scene. Amazing.
Headless eyes. Now here's a guy with an unusual hobby. He collects eyes and doesn't care where he has to go to get them. You won't want to close your eyes for a second while you're watching this screamer.
All right. Now, this is probably when I think of like when people would like make a parody of an 80s horror movie cover where it's just like over the top and just like even like what was it in like Doug when they're like, no, it was Angry Beavers with like the spleen.
Mm-hmm.
And like they all had like these like over the top like weird movies, and like this is like the epitome of like that, like I don't know, I think like the trope they were going off of. Headless Eyes from 1971.
Wow.
It's kind of hard to see. This is it was a Wizard release. Charles Band.
Yeah.
Yes. it's you see is a lady laying in front of a skyline, and she's holding her eye as an eyeball is squirming off, and there's a big old eyeball. But this movie, well, actually, my favorite part about this movie is it was from First Row Video. I don't know if we were able to see that, which was my hometown video store.
Oh, okay.
It was
So you
like
got
one of those like
some nostalgia for it. All right.
Yeah. So my buddy at Cycle Breaker Records, I was like, man, he sells like tapes. I was like, do you have any like First Row tapes? Like, buy me a First Row tape if you have one. He was like, yeah, I'll see what I can come across. And he finds Headless Eyes like that. I'm like, that's fucking incredible. And then we set up the store, like everything like here, and I start going through all my tapes. I'm like, I have like fucking 70 First Row tapes. I was like, oh, all right. So I didn't really need this. I had a fucking ton. I just like didn't realize, I guess. Fun thing about this movie, it was written and directed by Kent Bateman. It was Jason Bateman's dad.
Really?
Which is
that's great. I didn't even know his dad was a director.
Yeah, I don't know how much I glanced over his stuff. I don't think he did a whole lot, but like it was also like acting credits in the list. But yeah, he wrote and directed Headless Eyes, which like, I mean, if you've ever seen this, it's like, I don't think anybody can convince me that Maniac did not rip this off.
Yeah,
like
71.
this is like clearly proto-Maniac.
Yeah, what year was Maniac? 80.
1980 even. I think.
80, you're right. So
this is 1971.
Wow.
Yeah. With like very, very similar story.
Yeah, I've never seen Headless Eye.
Oh, dude.
I've never seen it. I'm familiar. I've heard of it. I've seen that cover, but I've never actually watched it.
Well, you know, heads up, you're probably not missing a whole lot. I mean, it's not awesome.
So it's not a good movie. The cover's just cool. The movie itself, wow.
It's not terrible, but it's like, it's not one of those movies that like is gonna make a list.
Yeah.
You know, like it's a fun watch. But yeah, like, I mean, I recommend watching it just to compare to Maniac because like they're like, I don't know, like I feel like they're very similar movies. Obviously, Lustig's a little bit better at being like creepy and like things looking super gross.
Yeah, that I have to watch that one. So 71, it came out 9 years before Maniac, and you think it ripped it off. Wow. I've never heard anyone say that. So
you heard it here first.
Damn. Burning Maniac, man. I gotta check that one out. I'm not familiar with that movie at all.
Get stabbed by a Maniac super fan because of that.
Headless Eye just sounds like a Cannibal Corpse song. That's
fucking
A. Yeah, that's what it sounds like.
I mean, like the cover's not far off of like some Cannibal. I mean,
it's kind of Cannibal Corpse.
Yeah, it's a little Cannibal Corpsey.
Yeah, not enough intestines for Cannibal Corpse, but
yeah, for sure. Dude, actually, the funny story about Cannibal Corpse, we were talking about earlier, but the first time I saw Tusk Avenger, like that same week, my cousin showed me like the Butchered at Birth cassette.
Oh yeah, it's a great album.
It was just like two double like I remember that just like being enamored by that cassette, just being like, what the fuck? Like,
those covers definitely sold those albums too. They've been releasing the same album for like 20 years, so almost 30 years at this point. Eating Back to Life is a great cover too. The very first Cannibal Corpse with the zombie, literally the cannibal corpse. It's a corpse that's eating itself. So it's a great. It's the first ever Cannibal Corpse. That's a good album too. All those vile Cannibal Corpse has some fucked up. I think there's like one that was banned. Was it Gore Obsessed? I forget which one was banned. They've all been banned probably.
I think didn't Carcass have like a cover that was banned?
Maybe.
I'm pretty sure Carcass.
So many death metal bands have like actual death on the cover, like
those,
like bands Exhumed and shit like that. I was really into death metal when I was like in high school, and I remember going to pick up albums and just looking at them. And it's like a real severed head on the cover. Speaking of severed heads. And I'm just being like, I think I can't look at this cover, so I'm not gonna buy it. Like it was just too gross. I'm good.
Yeah, I'm not fucking stoked about seeing like real dead people.
Nah.
Like,
I don't know why death metal. I know why death metal bands choose like real gore on their covers, but I don't want to see it. I'm good. I'll stick with the Icebox Murder fake head and the 555 fake head on my covers. Thank you.
Wasn't old lady Bailey's husband a carpenter before he died? Serious? You don't really think she could really kill anyone, do you?
All right, I have 1985's Nail Gun Massacre.
Another good one.
Cheaper than a chainsaw. So Terry Lofton did like 99% of the stuff for this movie, and they have a very nice memoriam for him at the beginning of the film. But basically, it's about a woman getting raped by 6 men, which totally gross. But the wonderful guy back here with the mask and like camo and the nail gun seeks revenge on all of her rapists throughout the film. And you're like, who is it? Who's getting these bad guys in the movie? I also love the cover that it's like this woman, kind of sexy, like we got some cleavage. She's nailed to a window, which is also very, again, 80s style. Did he come through the window? Was she trying to escape the window? And
She's
then
just next to a window.
Yeah, just near a window.
He just happened to be there.
And then the font, it's all that bloody font. And then even the eye for nail is an actual nail.
That's a good movie. I like Nail Gun Massacre, and that's a good cover. I didn't even think of that one.
that movie has a really good twist. Like that mother, you think it's gonna zing and she zags.
I couldn't believe the twist.
Nah, that's definitely a good one. I have to rewatch that one. You guys are just picking shit I haven't seen in a while. I haven't watched that in a few years, I think. I got to see if that has like a... It must have like a... I think that one has like a special edition Blu-ray of some kind.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Most of these, except for Icebox Murders. I don't think that has a special edition Blu-ray. That one definitely does. I got to watch that. Who directed that one? I forget.
Terry Lofton.
Okay, you did say because it's a memorial.
Yeah, he did like everything, basically.
Yeah, it was his only movie, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, right?
Passion project.
What happened to him again? What happened to that guy?
I don't know.
He died.
He just died. It's just like
he just died.
In the video,
Stop working.
And then it's like doing all the credits, and it's just like Terry Lofton, Terry Lofton, Terry Lofton. I'm like, oh, he did everything. Good for him.
Died on a high note.
Yes.
There you go. A classic film, Nail Gun Massacre. So he just died. I love how that was your guys' answer.
Just died.
Just died. Isn't that what happens? I guess. I don't know.
I was like concerned when it started because I was like, oh, it's a memoriam. I was like, that's so sad. I wonder if it's someone like who acted in it. And then like doing the research, I was like, oh my God, no, this is like the guy. He did all of it.
The guy
He
that
died
did
in
everything.
2011.
Yeah. Okay. So like old age or something.
Probably not. He's probably like 40 only, maybe. At that point, I'm being honest. He was probably relatively young if it was 2000. If the movie was made in the 80s, right? Or was it 80s or 90s? That one.
80s.
Yeah, he was born in 62, so died in 2011, so he was like 49, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
R.I.P. That's still too young. We never got Nail Gun Massacre 2. See?
Well, he did make another movie called Nailed.
Okay. So he likes his nail. He likes his nails.
Oh wait, never mind. It's just a documentary.
Oh, okay, all right. It would have been amazing if he made another movie. It was like nailed, like just he likes nails for some reason.
Yeah.
That would have been amazing.
He like walks into like a fucking like hardware store. He's like, "Speak to me."
He's an auteur director. All he does is like Quentin Tarantino's thing's the feet. His thing was the nails. So.
Halloween is the time when community service organizations warn that children and animals are most likely to be abducted. To truly understand the significance of Halloween and its role in this mayhem, we must go back to its historic roots.
So my last pick for favorite VHS covers, or some of our favorite VHS covers, isn't even a movie, technically. It's not a real movie. I don't even think it's considered a documentary or anything like that. It is the Halloween Trick or Treat tape, which it's got a longer name, which I'm about to say, but on the cover it says Halloween Trick or Treat. And it's called The Pagan Invasion, Volume 1.
God, that's so fucking gnarly sounding.
Yes. So, as you can see, before I get into what this is, the cover screamed. So this was released in 1990. I thought it was 96. 1990. And the cover is of a young girl dressed as a witch, clutching an amazing McBoo pail from the early 90s with a little black cat in it, and she's got a broom. I think there's also some sort of like spooky backdrop. It's like a scary house or something back there. Even looking at it, it's not only what I'm showing you guys, but even like looking at it, it's hard to make out what's behind her. But if you looked at this, right, at a glance, this just screams like nostalgia. Early 90s Halloween. When I look at that, I'm like, I want to watch this. What is this amazing Halloween trick or treat tape? Now, what is this nonsense? This is basically an anti-Halloween informative video. Like preaching how evil Samhain or Samhain is and how you shouldn't celebrate Halloween at all. But it is the most Halloween thing you'll ever watch, looking at it, like watching it and just looking at the tape in 2023. Like you just get nostalgic feels. Watch the first 20 minutes are like shots of Halloween costumes from the 90s. Pumpkins. It is like, it's the best thing ever. Just everything about this. Then it does get a little boring because you start hitting like people being all preachy and telling you not to celebrate Halloween. So it's hysterical. I've been wanting to cover this on the show for about I've owned this tape, I'd say, for maybe 3 or 4 years. So right before I started Haunted Hangover. And I've been meaning to throw it on and get a group of people together on the show and talk about this nonsense. It's a sight to be seen. It's ridiculous. Yeah. It's like, don't celebrate Halloween, but look at how awesome it is by accident. That's basically what they're doing in this tape. It's fucking great. A while back, I don't know if you guys caught this, but I'll be very honest. I don't remember which episode we talked about this in. I think it might have been a Halloween Q&A episode or something, or a Halloween. One of our past episodes, guys, find it. We opened the show with this weird infomercial with this guy dressed up as a devil. He almost looks like Sammy Davis Jr., dressed up as the devil, telling you that all the evil people celebrate Halloween. But the video itself has like this like synthesizer score and tons of atmosphere, and he's dressed as the devil. It's amazing. It's one of the most Halloween things ever, and he didn't even realize it. This tape, same thing. Like it's ridiculous. It makes no sense. Now, I'll be honest, I don't know what volume 2 are or volume 3 or like any of the other volumes. I just know what's on this tape. And yeah, guys, keep an eye out. I do intend on watching this and reacting and giving feedback, but I think I need several other people to go through it with me because it's something. Have you guys heard of this at all?
No.
I literally just bought it right now.
It's a cheap tape. It's like $10. I think you can get it for, right?
$21.34 to be exact.
21. Yeah, it's cheap. I bought it a few years ago, so it probably was $10. Now it's $20. It's not a long tape. It's about, I think, an hour long or 45 minutes long, but it's something. When you watch it, you almost feel like you're being initiated into a cult, but then you're like, no, I love Halloween. It's weird. It's weird. Very weird. And if you love Halloween, I recommend watching it. And keep an eye out. In the future, I will be diving into this one.
I like the idea of being like, yeah, don't do this, it's bad, but by like showing you all the cool shit, that's like, hey kids, don't smoke cigarettes. But it's just then they just like pan over like this dude leaning on a jukebox in a leather jacket. You're like, oh dude, that looks so sick.
Look how cool he looks smoking that cigarette. Yeah, it's weird. Like I'm telling you, they're like, don't celebrate Halloween, and there's like this cool jack-o'-lantern and like fog and like a haunted attraction. I'm like, this is all the reasons why I love Halloween. And then someone's telling you that the devil's you're gonna go to hell. Well, you know what? It was worth it. And this cover is great. Just
it was
like
worth it.
It's so good. I love that she's holding, like, I guarantee these people were like, we need a pumpkin pail. And someone went to McDonald's, got a Happy Meal, and they were just like, all right, we'll give it to her. Not realizing in 25 years, people would be going crazy for these pails. You know, like literally to the point that McDonald's brought them back last year. People were going fucking crazy for them. So everything about this tape is just for Halloween lovers. And they didn't even fucking realize it in 1990. So
yeah, we're gonna really stick it to Halloween. Like, oh, what the fuck? They like it.
Wow, they like it. I'm sure in 1990 people didn't, you know, they didn't have nostalgic goggles on, but those people now just look like fools. Like, you know what I mean? Like, because most people do have nostalgic goggles whenever they watch stuff from 30, 40 years ago, especially when it comes to like Halloween or even like the holidays, you know what I mean? Like anything. So for me, it's a situation of just like, you guys are dumb. Halloween's awesome. Don't bash it or say it's evil and you'll go to hell. You're dumb.
Like, I feel like the majority of that movie is gonna be like the intro to Halloween 4.
It's weird because it's like interviews and floating head stuff, and then they tell you how like the devil's there, but I'm telling you, it's the weird. You have to watch it. It's strange. It's strange, and then watching it now. Yeah, and watching it now makes it even stranger. It's fucking weird. Very weird. So I wanted to do something to close out the show here. We each have to pick someone else's one tape from someone else. Zach, we'll start with you. I'm gonna show mine. Let's go through the tapes actually really quick. So I'll show mine again. So we've got the Icebox Murder. Phenomenal cover there, right? We've got the Monster Dog. The Monster Dog. Monster Dog. It's the Monster Dog to me. And then we've got the Halloween Trick or Treat tape. From my bunch, what are you going with?
Fucking Monster Dog all day. I want to watch that so bad now.
Dude, this is not a cheap.
Heavy metal and werewolves. Like, fuck yeah.
This is like a trans world entertainment tape. Right. I didn't say what brand released this, but I think this is not an easy tape to get. I might be wrong. You might want to eBay that one and see, but and wink wink, it might be on YouTube. But you didn't hear that from me. So
perfect. I really want to watch that. I haven't seen it, and you didn't tell me it got really like terrible reviews, so I really want to watch that.
What, Monster Dog got terrible reviews?
Oh, you said the other one did.
Oh, the Icebox Murders?
Yeah.
Yeah, but will that stop anyone? So Zach from Sarah's picks. Let's run through them real quick. Oh, yeah. And which one are you going with?
Night of the Creeps.
Night of the Creeps.
A Nightmare on Elm Street. The OG. And Nail Gun Massacre.
Now, this is a hard one because they're all really good fucking movies. Like, I didn't think Sarah was going to pick a better stack than me, but she did, like, 100%. I was like, fuck, I suck at this. But, that is such a doozy.
Tough one.
That is super tough. I'm going to go Night of the Creeps, I guess. But like, I feel like it's the wrong choice. But just because like the 50s intro to it is so like
it is very
so fucking fun with the what is it the Platters are playing, I think, in the beginning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
the feel of it. So it's like it sets the tone for the whole movie.
Which is wild because like I love all three of those movies. I just felt like it'd be a cop out to say like Nightmare on Elm Street.
It is like such a classic. Like
it is that good.
You would have been allowed to. It's your pick. It's whichever one you like.
I picked it.
Yeah.
So you're going from our grouping. You're going with Monster Dog and Night of the Creeps. That'd be a good double feature, kind of. Very different types of films when you think about it, though.
An awesome double feature if you don't like dogs.
Yes.
Oh,
I think that's one thing everyone's learning about you guys. That just butchery of dogs has never come up on the show that often. I'm like, here we go. Slaughtering of dogs. It just happens.
Full disclaimer. Huge dog lover.
Yeah, we have a dog.
He's the best friend.
Same here. I don't have one right now, but I grew up with a lot of dogs in my life, and I do intend on getting one again one day. So, you know, I do love a good pup, just kind of being around and playing with you. And it seems like yours is off screen somewhere. So
he's like right by us. He's always around.
All right, Sarah. So,
okay,
Monster Dog on my end.
Okay.
Icebox Murders, the Icebox Murders, or Halloween Trick or Treat. What are you going with?
Oh, this is a hard one.
Yeah, they're all...
Do you need to look at them again? Do you need a
I think
second?
I'm gonna go with Halloween Trick or Treat.
Whoa, neither one of these.
I think it's just like the classic witch, and like I know we talked about Halloween. Like I was always a witch if I wasn't anything like the Powerpuff Girl and stuff like that. Like that just is like 90s Halloween amazingness. Like I just love that cover. It hits home for me.
I respect that decision. I guess, and listen, it's Halloween, Haunted Hangover. That's why I picked this. Wink, wink. I wanted it to be. We needed a Halloween. We needed a Halloween type of film in the bunch. So, excellent. Now, out of Zach's picks,
you got Texas Chainsaw Massacre: Next Generation.
Okay.
Not with one, but two covers.
Okay.
Sexy Leatherface.
Endorsing Ash. You got 555 and your head cut off. Oh, that's so hard to get a good.
Can't go wrong with a severed head. Okay.
And then you got Headless Eyes with the big old eyeball just cruising along.
Okay. I honestly think I'm gonna go with the Texas Chainsaw because it's two covers. And
that's a bargain.
Yeah, I honestly love. I mean, we talked so much about the sexy cover, but like I also love the lipstick one. Like I just can't imagine like bringing a chainsaw up to my lips like that.
I did that with my foot once.
He did. There is a giant scar on his foot from a chainsaw.
Oh, okay, good to know. Good to know.
And it was the Texas Chainsaw.
He was cutting a tree.
Okay, all right.
It missed the steel part of the boot.
Oh yeah.
All right, I was concerned for a second. There. I was like, okay.
We're not slicing it.
All right, cool. Good pick. Respectable one as well. Can't go wrong with the lipstick or sexy or that's a 2 for 1.
It's a 2-parter.
Yeah. I didn't take that into account. The 2 for 1. The 2 for 1 deal there. Oh man.
Oh yeah.
So
all right, Luke, you're up.
You guys don't have to show your picks. I remember them.
Perfect.
He remembers.
Hopefully, I'm paying attention. All right. Now, I'm trying to think. This is a tough one. With Zach's picks, I think I'm gonna go with 555.
Solid.
Because of how unique the color of the tape and the cover is. I've always loved that pink. And I love the contrast of the severed head right in the center of it. You know what I'm saying? It would make a great t-shirt. People would look at you like you're fucking crazy, but like the pink and the head being, the chopped off head and that whole deal, just the colors on it. I don't know why. To me, it's always stood out to me. I don't know. There's just something about it. There's something about it. That pink box. Now,
yeah, it also stood the test of time. I mean, I think it's not just you. I think a lot of people are like, it's a very unique color scheme. And honestly, after you watch the movie, like you're just like, I'm pretty sure it wasn't because of the movie everybody remembers it.
No, it's that cover. It's that cover. It's that cover 100%. Now, Sarah's picks. Let me think. It's a tough one. That's a tough one. As much as I love Night of the Creeps, and that is a phenomenal cover, out of that three, I think I'm gonna go Nail Gun Massacre.
Okay.
I think that's the reason why. I think let me see it again. Let me see it again. I think the reason why is because I like how much is going on, and like Night of the Creep, a little ambiguous. You know what I mean? Zombie. He's creep-y, but no slugs. There's no slugs on it. Is there a slug? No, right?
No slugs.
So it's
a broken window.
Yes, great cover, but doesn't really tell you what the movie is. I love Nightmare on Elm Street. Iconic cover. Does tell you what the movie is in a nutshell. But I think Nail Gun Massacre does it even better. So Rape Revenge, you've got the female character on there being attacked by a nail gun, which, correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think she's ever... Is she killed with a nail gun?
No.
No. But the other guys are in the Revenge, correct?
Yeah, I don't remember.
Regardless, there's a nail gun and a massacre happening on the cover. So,
no doubt.
So it sells the movie. Like, it sells it all and more. Because I don't think that actually happens in the movie, but you get a gist of what it wants to tell you about it.
I like the idea of it's like, the movie's called Nail Gun Massacre. Like, oh, what's that about? A
Nail Gun Massacre.
Oh, fuck yeah, shit.
Exactly. I know I sounded super pretentious breaking that down, but it is a Nail Gun Massacre, and I think it explains it.
And it is a good point, because there's a lot of movies like where covers, you're just like, you see the cover and then you watch, you're just like, huh.
Mm-hmm.
Like I remember Microwave Massacre, Microwave Massacre. Mm-hmm. I remember that one was like, I thought that was gonna go a different way than it did, and I was like, well, I missed the mark on that one.
There's not a lot of massacres happening inside the microwave, if I remember correctly, in that movie. I think there's like one. Are there several massacres in the microwave? I don't think so. It's a pretty slow movie from what I remember.
Yeah. But that was like one of those, like, you think, I don't know. I thought like the dude's weapon was going to be a microwave, and it wasn't.
That was the biggest disappointment about that would have been sick if his main weapon was just the microwave. He took it, bashed people's heads with it, cut it off, threw the head in the microwave, heat it up. That's what you're expecting from it, but it's not what you get. And that's what VHS covers do. They're there to persuade you into renting or buying the movie when they don't. The promise that's made, they never pull through with it. So those were some of our favorite VHS covers. Thank you, Zack, Sarah, for being on the show with me and talking about all kinds of nonsense. Where can people find you?
At Terrorax Videos on Instagram. I think we have a YouTube channel at the same handle.
And be sure to subscribe. Follow us on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, at Haunted Hangover. Head over to hauntedhangover.com for links to the video version of this episode, the audio-only version of this episode, our Patreon page, and tons of other fun, good, spooky stuff over there. And as always, remember, the best cure for a hangover is
more booze.
Catch you guys later.